A crisp 50-degree night for a Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Livonia Churchill and Livonia Franklin getting set to go head-to-head on a beautiful Friday night, the first Friday night of October. And we are underway. Jason Ross Jr. here with you. The site this week for our Game of the Week is Livonia Franklin High School. Starting to feel more and more like fall, a crisp night, and what a game we have. So these teams went to triple overtime a year ago, a 49-48 win for Franklin. Churchill comes in the favorite at 2-0 on the season. Franklin at 1-1. Zach Olesic, the junior QB, will start off with an empty set on his home field to get things underway. We see a lot of designed runs from this crew, and that's what they do on the first play of the game for a quick gain of 2. Well, Olesic's predecessor set the ball pretty high. Jacob Kelbert, son of head coach Chris Kelbert, he helped the team reach the state final back in 2017. Since then, the bar, once again, as I mentioned, it's been high. 8-3 a season ago, although off to a 1-1 start. Coming off a 35-31 loss to John Glenn. That loss put a pretty bitter taste in their mouth. Blew a 31-13 fourth quarter lead as they go to the ground for the first time tonight. Trevor Perezic. Nice backfield duo with Connor Hatfield and Trevor Perezic on the Franklin side. It's an offense that averaged 38.5 points per game a season ago. Appreciate that. They go back to the ground this time. It's the design run once again for Olesic, but the defense is there. And time Jimmy Targos, the excellent middle linebacker, 6'4", 200 pounds, 64 tackles a season ago, expecting to call his name quite a bit tonight. That'll lead to the first punt of the game after a quick 3-and-out. Flag on the play. A little over 2 minutes into this first quarter, no score between Franklin and Churchill.
The punt is down to the 26-yard line. Flag on the play.
It's going to be an illegal formation on Churchill, on Franklin rather, so that'll add some yardage on to the start of this game for Churchill, and they'll be let out onto the field by Gavin Brooks, the senior QB. He is very motivated in his final Churchill week, Franklin week as they say in Churchill, and he's ready to go. Very calm demeanor, watches a lot of film, is very intense coming into this week. Went 12 for 21 in week 2 with 136 yards, and 3 total touchdowns. Boston Clegg Jr., the running back, to his left. No score, 9:39 to go in the opening quarter. They go to Clegg Jr. to kick things off, similar to what we saw Franklin do on their opening drive. These schools are separated by just under 10 minutes, about 4.6 miles. The proximity is close, and this really is the kind of preeminent rivalry in the KLAA East right now. Might get our first little breather here on an injury timeout. Livonia Churchill is coached by Bill DeFilippo in his 8th season, a guy who just truly loves the game. Whenever he talks about his players afterwards, his face just glows, and He knows, they've been through all the experiences from playing some of the best teams in the state to having heartbreak losses. They've experienced all that, he said, so they know what it takes, in his words, to get the job done tonight. Quick handoff to Clegg Jr. for the back-to-back run, and they pick up about 3 more.
How's it going, Howard?
Junior, the ball carrier.
It's really a game-by-game, week-by-week mentality for Churchill. Kind of keeps them grounded amidst the high expectations, according to head coach Bill DeFilippo. And he said that mentality has worked well, but he also said there's high expectations, and they know that. A lot of that is thanks to these 2 guys hooking up here, the Brooks brothers. That was Gavin Brooks finding his brother Bailey. That'll give Churchill a first down.
First down for Churchill.
It's a fun brother duo, Gavin and Bailey. Expect to hear a lot from them today. Bailey's the younger brother. He is a junior receiver and cornerback. Gavin, the senior, can do it on the ground and through the air. They'll go to the air this time once again. Pressure coming. Finds Clegg Jr. out of the backfield. Hops to the inside. Sheds 1 tackle and then brought down at about the 48-yard line. 7:48 to go in the first quarter. No score. Once again, Churchill at 2-0 on the season, coming off a 21-14 win over Dearborn. They've outscored their first 2 opponents this season by a combined score of 65-20. We get a flag here, though, and it might be on Franklin. That'll tack on 5 more to make it 2nd and 3 with 7:12 to go in the opening quarter, and they just power their way ahead behind Clegg Jr. to pick up another first down and moving their way inside of Franklin territory now.
Ball for 44 the Patriots.
They like to move quickly. A fresh set of downs. It's a keeper this time for Brooks, and he'll pick up about 4. So he gets to the 40-yard line of Churchill. Franklin, rather.
That was Brooks with the keeper. Tackled by Ryan Strasser. 2nd and 6.
That sets up 2nd and 6 with 6:06 to go in this first quarter. No score. They go back to the ground, but this time Franklin was ready for it. On the opposite side, it's a Franklin defense that knows they can stop the run. They have a good defensive line, but stopping the pass has been the issue over the past couple of weeks. They gave up 248 yards through the air last week in that loss to John Glenn. The DBs were getting beat more often than not. They gave up 21 unanswered points in that fourth quarter. Brooks in motion. His brother Gavin will fake it to him, then launch it down the sideline. Has a man, and that'll be, they'll say he stepped out of bounds at about the 15. So Clegg Jr. looked like he had been destined for the end zone, but it'll set up 1st and 10 at the 15. On a gain of about 25. A lengthy drive brewing here for the Churchill offense on the road. Beautifully designed pass play that time around. They've got some weapons, and it's difficult as a defense to predict what they're going to do. They'll throw a lot of different looks at you. Back in the shotgun here, they fake it again. Brooks rolling, option was taken away, so he keeps it himself and gets to the 10.
That's Brooks with the keeper.
Clock is ticking, 5:07 to go now in this first quarter. That brings it up 2nd and 6. No score. They'll mark it at the 11.
On the tackle. 2nd and 6.
Will Linton made the tackle on that last play. It's been ground heavy so far, and they go back to Clegg Jr., who's done it by way of catching and with his legs. Gets inside the 10.
Tackle by Will Linton.
Will Linton once again on the tackle there, and that'll bring up 3rd and 1 with 4:23 to go in this first quarter. No score. Well, expectations extremely high for this Churchill team this season. They've come out looking focused and energetic on this opening drive. Now over 10 plays in, and they go back to Clegg Jr. Doesn't pick up much that time. Trying to run into a crowded box. And Pittenger made the tackle. Evan Pittenger, the senior middle linebacker. You see him creeping up quite a bit. One of the anchors of this defense. 70 tackles and 4 sacks last season. We get a timeout here with 4th and 2 coming up. We'll see what Churchill decides to do. Decision time early on. Do you take the 3 points or try to pick up 2 more? 3:30 to go in the opening quarter of play. So far, the offensive line has really dictated things for the Churchill offense, so perhaps they try to go for it here. We'll talk things over. We've seen quite a bit of play action as well. That could be an option. Boston Clegg Jr. at 91 yards on the ground a week ago. We've already seen they like to utilize him in the passing game, but it's the yards after catch because he has such excellent vision. He's already had that long catch that got them down inside of the red zone. So 4th and 2 once again with 3:30 to go in this opening quarter, no score, and they do bring the offense back out. This would be a big stop here for the Franklin defense if they can come up with it. Backed up near their own end zone. They go to Clegg Jr., lowers his shoulder. This will be very close. The Franklin faithful thinks they made the stop. The sideline thinks they made the stop. And they did. So a risky decision there from Churchill to no avail. And it gets the crowd into it early. That's a big stop after a lengthy, methodical drive from Churchill that ate up some clock after the defense forced a quick 3 and out. 3:23 to go now in this opening quarter, and that'll bring up 1st and 10 for the Franklin offense. Trying to get some space here, and it's more of the same, making the tackle there. Jimmy Targos in the backfield quickly. Gain of just a yard, so that'll bring up 2nd and 9. Demarius Gibson Wells in there as well. He was a real challenge for the Dearborn O-line a week ago at 6 tackles, 2 for a loss. Guy who said his #1 goal is to get a college scholarship, wants to major in business administration. A very difficult guy to block, and it'll be a challenge up front today. This time they'll set up in the shotgun, trying to find some breathing room. They go back to the ground, looking for the edge and getting a few yards that time is Connor Hadfield, the senior running back. Look for him on quite a few sweep plays today. He had 131 yards on the ground in week 1. 5'9", 160. Not huge, but incredibly elusive, very shifty. Can make a man miss, can make a second man miss as well. We mentioned head coach Bill DeFilippo on the Livonia Churchill side in his 8th year. Chris Kelbert leading the 1-1 Livonia Franklin Patriots on their home field today. He is in season number 19 at the helm for the Patriots. Trying to bounce back from last week's 35-31 loss. On 3rd and 2, they go to the ground and might have come up just short. They will give him the first down. It was close. That'll move the chains. It's a Franklin crew that's been involved in some airtight games to begin this season. Their opener was a 28-27 win over Fordson, which was considered an upset. Capped off by a game-winning touchdown run from Connor Hatfield. But then last week, the script flipped in an unpleasant way. They were on the wrong end of an upset loss. As I mentioned, John Glenn scored those 21 unanswered to close out a 35-31 win. This time, pressure in the backfield will cause an errant throw. That was Malaki Britton in the backfield along with Khalil Ford. Flip side, it's a Churchill defense that's only given up 3 touchdowns through the first 2 games of the season so far. 2 of those came last week. Out of a pistol look this time, Olesic will hand it off once again on 2nd and 10 from their own 17. And the defensive line for Churchill was ready once more.
Trevor Perzak, the ball carrier.
Trevor Perzak, the carrier that time. He's kind of the second back in the rotation behind Hatfield. They like to mix both in now in kind of an obvious passing down situation. 3rd and 9 at your own 19. With 80 seconds to go in this opening quarter, no score. Clock under a minute now. Olesic looking, steps up. A bullet over the middle, off the fingertips that time of the defensive back that came running through is Jordan Garcia, intended for Pittenger. Well, that'll bring up a punt. Jordan Garcia back to receive this punt inside of the Franklin 50, and this will start Churchill off with some good field position. They'll set up about the 45.
Jordan Garcia on the return for
36 seconds to go in this opening quarter. Aiden Johnson made the tackle that time. And back comes Gavin Brooks after an opening drive that lasted a little over 6 minutes. Got down inside the Franklin 15. This time the Chargers will set up they'll spot it at the 46 here, Franklin. So a repeat of that opening drive would be ideal. Only thing is you want to add on a score at the end of it. That felt like a big stop early on for the Franklin defense. They bring Garcia in motion. Here is Bailey Brooks, a nifty spin move down the sideline. A lovely run, and they get inside the 20. Big chunk there, a gain of 26 on 1st and 10.
Jordan Garcia, the ball carrier. Patriot tackle Colin Downing.
They'll set him up at the 14. They love that sweep play, as we mentioned earlier. And that time they get a nice block on the sideline, and it leads to a big gain of 26. Cycle of a quick timeout.
After one, no score.
I'll let the clock run down, actually. So, no score after one. When we come back, it'll be Churchill setting up in excellent field position at the Franklin 14. I'll take this time to bring up that this broadcast is brought to you by the Detroit Free Press, your flagship news and information source for sports in Michigan. The Free Press has launched a new digital subscription model which gives high school fans exclusive access to Mick McCabe's weekly columns, rankings, and predictions. Your support will help the Free Press stream high school football games all season long. Subscribe today at freep.com for our latest promotional offer. Welcoming you back, getting the second quarter underway, no score after one. Well, for the second time, Churchill will set up in the red zone, 0 for 1 so far. Got stopped on 4th and 2 last time they were down here. They go to the ground, and Clegg Jr. rips his way to about the 11-yard line of Franklin. The Franklin defense returning 8 of its 11 starters from a year ago. And they're really confident once again in this group. He's, I was talking to head coach Chris Kelbert, and he said that just knowing the checks we make on defense, the formations, and being able to get what we want, that's the key today. That's when they feel they're confident. Once again, it was the secondary that was beat pretty consistently in the second half of last week's loss against John Glenn. This time they go back to the ground. Flag comes out towards the end of the run. There's Williams on the carry that time. 11:06 to go in the second quarter. No score, Franklin and Churchill. We'll see what the penalty is here. So it's a personal foul, hands to the face called on Churchill. That'll be a 15-yard penalty here. Once again, having some troubles in the red zone, this time self-inflicted. It's a Franklin team that, you sense there must be a sense of urgency this week. Moments like this, backed up near your own end zone, 1-1 on the season, coming off your first loss of the year. Franklin is the underdog today. Here's Churchill quarterback Gavin Brooks, finds Clegg Jr. He gets a block and another. Gets back inside of the 10, down to the 7.
Pass complete to Clegg Jr. Gary Morris.
So on 2nd and 16, they pick up about 13 yards.
Ball at the 6.
I'll say 14. They give him 3rd and 2 from the 6-yard line of Franklin. Bit of deja vu here. They had 3rd and 2 at the other end of the field in the first quarter. Couldn't capitalize. Went for it on 4th and 2. And this time a flag comes in.
Dead ball. Flag on the play.
Franklin fans think this is against Churchill. We'll see what the flag is here.
Illegal procedure on the
It's an
Chargers.
illegal procedure on the Chargers, so getting a bit antsy in the red zone once again. Push back another 5. That brings up 3rd and 7. And bring them back to the 11-yard line. So far, 2 penalties. And in the first quarter, a failed 4th and 2 try for the Churchill offense in the red zone. Just one receiver in this set. Brooks looks to the far side, has his running back. It's Clegg Jr. looking for the pylon, and he found it.
Quick pass complete to Clegg Jr.
First touchdown of the game on 3rd and 7. It's a Churchill score. They go up 6-0 on the road. They cap off that drive after failing on 4th and 2 in the first quarter. Now looking to tack on one more.
Point after by Phillips.
An offense that has 65 points through the first 2 weeks of the season. Add 6 more onto that total. Now 71 on the season, and they're up 7-0 with 9:55 to go in the second quarter. I should say 72 points now in the season total. A Churchill team that started 1-4 a season ago, then ripped off 6 consecutive wins and are out to making it to the playoffs after, once again, a 1-4 start. That momentum they finished with really has carried over into this year. Won 2 playoff games last year. Ended up falling to Walled Lake Western by 7 points in the regional final, but scored 88 points combined in those first 2 playoff wins. A good block here, and it leads to a decent chunk on the return.
Tyler Winston on the Patriot return.
It's Kyle Winston, and he carries it out to about the 35. Bailey Brooks made the tackle. That brings Zach Olesic back out for Franklin, trailing by 7 now. An empty set and a designed run. Saw quite a bit of this last week. Gets a block in a big hole. It's Olesic escaping, and he'll cruise to the end zone. 55 yards, and now they're 1 point away from knotting things up. In the blink of an eye, this game changes and we're tied. Seven now, 9:37 to go in the second quarter. What a run from Olesic. He's got a 4.740 time, and we saw it on display there. There was a competition for that starting job in the offseason after Jacob Kelbert graduated. It was going to be either Aiden Johnson or Zach Olesic. Olesic won the offseason battle. First-year starter, and he looks pretty comfortable on that run. The gap opened up thanks to that experienced offensive line. They've got some size up front. 2 players over 6'5". Some height and size. And there's a big hole that time for Olesic. We're tied at 7, 9:37 to go in the second quarter. So now Churchill will try to answer back from that quick strike. Carrying it out past the 30 into the 35. There's a nice return that time from Devontae Hill.
The return. Stepped out at the 40, 1st and 10 Chargers.
So he stepped out at the 40, so that'll bring up 1st and 10 with some pretty decent field position for Gavin Brooks and this Churchill offense. Both teams getting it done on the ground so far in this one. Gavin Brooks has 1 touchdown pass today, and that was to his running back, Boston Clegg Jr. It's a dynamic 1-2 punch. Now Brooks with an empty backfield. 4 receivers looking for one of them into one-on-one, just out of the reach there of the intended receiver, Williams.
Pass intended for Williams. That's Pittenger on the coverage.
Linebacker Evan Pittenger dropped back in coverage that time. One of the reasons why he is so versatile. Middle linebacker and a tight end. And he can drift back for you and cover a receiver when necessary. Received his first college offer from Lawrence Tech University back in April. And then a few others followed. Shrine, Olivet, Northern Michigan. As Gavin Brooks opts to hand off this time to Clegg Jr., they go to the ground and pick up about 4. So that'll set up 3rd and 6 here with 9:05 to go in the second quarter. 7-7 ball game.
The ball carrier.
Brooks on 3rd and 6 over the middle. They have a first down and a bit more. It's Jordan Garcia, the senior, making the reception there. He's one of their top targets. They find him over the middle. Quick slot receiver. He's a guy with a 4.6 40-yard dash time. They like to move him laterally across the field. Dom Offerman on the tackle that time, the senior cornerback. 7-7 the score, 8:09 to go here in the second quarter. One of the finest rivalries in the state of Michigan. Livonia Churchill and Livonia Franklin going head-to-head once again. On our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week, a high snap. And they give it to Williams, and he scampers out of bounds just outside the 40 at the 41 of Franklin. 3rd time today that Churchill has ventured into Franklin territory.
Second and 7 from the 41.
Now brings up 2nd and 8. Clock stops at 7:50 after Hill ran out of bounds. Make it 2nd and 7. One receiver in motion, and that bunch set. It's a designed run, and a hole opens up here. Scampering to the end zone will be Gavin Brooks on a 41-yard touchdown run. That's how quickly they can strike. All of a sudden it's 13-7 now in favor of Churchill. Extra point is blocked, so 13-7 will be the score after the 41-yard run from Gavin Brooks. So Franklin with a 55-yard touchdown scamper from their quarterback, Zach Olesic. And then Churchill comes right back with a 41-yard run of their own from Gavin Brooks. 13-7 the score in favor of Churchill with 7:41 to go in this second quarter. It's been a fun one so far. We thought coming into this one, if this game was half as good as last year's 49-48 triple overtime win for Franklin, we'd be in for a pretty decent matchup. It's lived up to the billing thus far. Based on how the Franklin defense has performed, at least last week, we thought that maybe the emphasis for the Churchill offense would be going through the air. We've seen that, but it's been on the ground where they've gotten it done. Another pretty decent return here for Franklin. They'll set up at the 33-yard line. Only took them a couple plays to score last time. They trail 13-7 now after the blocked extra point. 7:35 to go in the opening half of play. Pretty good crowd on hand watching their offense today. A masked up crowd, socially distanced crowd. Wide open receiver downfield. This could be room. Inside of the 30, down to the 20. Another quick strike. Olesic finds Pittenger, the senior tight end. Picks up a big chunk all the way down to the 19. 7:20 to go in this second quarter. And the Patriot offense can set up inside of the red zone for the first time today. They go to the ground this time, a block and a chance here. They'll find the end zone. Hatfield. All it took was a couple of plays this time, so back-to-back quick scores for the Franklin offense, and they have found a rhythm after a 3-and-out on their opening drive. And a chance to take their first lead of the day here with the extra point. We're tied at 13 after the Churchill extra point was blocked at the other end. This one is up and good, so a 14-13 lead for Franklin. All of a sudden, some really big holes getting opened up by the Franklin offensive line. An O-line that's anchored by Kyle Fugetti, one of the seniors, 6'6", 300. As I mentioned, one of two players in that offensive line taller than 6'5". It's a group that loves to strike first. There's a lot of versatility in the playbook. Didn't see it on their opening drive, but these last two drives, designed quarterback run for 55 yards. And then they slip the tight end downfield for a big play, and a long run follows it for their second touchdown of the game. And here we are at 14-13, Franklin up after Churchill scored first. 6:39 to go in the second quarter. Now back comes the senior, Gavin Brooks, and his offense. Really smart kid with a good head on his shoulders. Head coach Bill DeFilippo called him a gym rat with a high IQ. He'll throw it this time over the middle into a tight window for a short gain here of about 4. Finds his brother Bailey Brooks. Second time those two have hooked up today. Both of them in the offseason have played for Legacy Football, which is a 7-on-7 league, mostly for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Kind of a recruiting tool in addition to a place to stay fit and compete with some of the best players around the state in the offseason. His brother Bailey can make those catches over the middle. They go to the ground this time to Clegg Jr. That sets up about 3rd and 4 here with 5:54 to go in the first half. Franklin up 14-13. Pettinger on the tackle that time. Getting back to Bailey Brooks, he has a nice compact frame for 5'10", 170. See what they go to here on 3rd and 4. Interesting scenario. Actually, they'll move it up here to 3rd and 2. So a short range situation, and they go to the ground. This will be very close as Brooks kept it and got pushed back. So we might see the punting unit come out with plenty of time for the Franklin offense. If he is indeed short, he is. Be pretty risky to go for it here. Right now they're looking at the sideline. Now the offense will head off. We'll see. Brooks went to the sideline, but it looks like they are going to go for it, and that will prompt a timeout from Franklin. So an interesting decision coming up here. 4th and 1 for the Churchill offense from their own 39, only trailing by a point with 4:45 to go in this first half. They've already failed once on 4th and 2. That was on their opening drive of the game. This would be a pretty risky decision if you don't get it here. In short-range situations, the Franklin D-line has been good today, and they've been good all season through a brief sample size. So we'll see what they decide to do out of this timeout. As you're handing the ball back to a really hot Franklin offense at the moment that has found their rhythm and has scored on back-to-back plays if you don't convert here. But they will go for it. 4th and 1. Bleachers are shaking from their own 39. Heavy set here. The big boys are out on the field. It's going to be close. The D-line for Franklin had a nice push up front. So did the offensive line, though, for Churchill. He got just enough to move the chains. And that'll bring up first down for Churchill. 4:35 and ticking on the second quarter clock. Once again, it's a Churchill team that's 2-0, trailing by a point here in the second quarter. Franklin 1-1, trying to bounce back from last week's loss to John Glenn. A Franklin team that's been hearing the whispers all week of the pressure of not falling to 1-2. They got off to a 6-0 start last season, a stretch during which the offense averaged 49 points per game. As we get a penalty on the Churchill offense, it'll set them back. Fourth penalty of the game to the Churchill offense. It's an illegal formation. It'll set them back 5 to 1st and 15 from their own 38. Gavin Brooks has a 41-yard rushing touchdown today and a nice passing touchdown. This time they hand it off to Clegg Jr. He finds a lovely gain running up the hash marks and gets down to the 31. It's a gain of 31 on 1st and 15. I'll put him at the 37 here, or rather the 32.
First and 10 at the 32.
Big gains from both offenses in this second quarter. 3:12 to go in the first half. 1st and 10 from the 32 of Franklin for the Churchill offense. They go back to the ground, nothing doing that time.
Alante Williams, the ball carrier.
Demarius Gibson Wells made the tackle that time. There's Alante Williams, the third back in that kind of 3-back rotation for Churchill, got the carry that time. He's a guy who they really would like to get an open space, 5'9", 185. Brooks finds a man. It's Williams inside of the 30, down to the 31. Down to the 26, I should say.
Trevor Alexander on the tackle.
And Trevor Alexander made the tackle. And that time they got him in space, utilizing him in the passing game. Sets up 3rd and 3. The ball marked at the 25 officially here. Big drive with under 2 minutes to go now in the opening half. Churchill offense threatening, trying to find a first down, and they'll pick it up on the ground.
Alante Williams, the ball carrier.
Alante Williams got 5 yards,
Churchill,
just what they needed.
21.
Bulky offensive line as well for Churchill, all above 6 foot, all over 200 pounds. They bring Bailey Brooks in motion, and now they flip it to him. Nice deception, and that'll open up a wide open gap here.
Gavin Brooks complete the Bailey Brooks touchdown, Churchill.
It's a touchdown for Churchill. The two brothers hook up. Wonderfully designed play. And Churchill retakes the lead with 1:05 to go in the second quarter. Third time this season that the two brothers have put the chemistry on full display, as Gavin finds Bailey for the third time today, and it puts Churchill in front 19-14 with 65 seconds to go in the opening half. We get a timeout called by Churchill. Boy, how about the design on that last play? It felt like the entire Franklin defense was simply tricked there. They all kind of bit on the fake, went to the left, went to their left, I should say. Pass went across the body of Brooks, and he found his brother Bailey, who had a wide open lane down the near sideline. We'll try to go for 2 here to make it a full touchdown game, theoretically, if Franklin were to score and tack on an extra point. Over the middle, that pass was deflected, and it'll remain a 5-point game. 19-14 remains the Churchill lead. If you're just joining us, Churchill had an extra point blocked. That would have made it a 14-7 game. And then Franklin scored. They converted on their extra point to make it 14-13. Now 6 more and a quick answer from Churchill to make it 19-14 in favor of the Chargers with 1:05 to go in this opening half. It's been a fun one. Pleasure to have you with us for our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. Feels like fall. It feels like it's time for football in the state of Michigan. This is one of the state's most exciting rivalries year in and year out. These two sides have split the last 4 meetings. Last year was an instant classic, 49-48 in triple overtime in favor of Franklin. You think these Churchill seniors don't remember that tonight? We'll kick off here, up 5 now. Franklin has had some good field position over their past couple of drives. Last 2 have resulted in touchdowns. Limited time here, though, with just 60 seconds on the clock in this first half. And Zach Olesic, who hasn't needed much time to score over the past couple of drives, will head out with his offense. They've scored in less than 5 plays in each of the last 2 drives. They look to pass here. 4 receiver set, looking for a man down the sideline. Couldn't quite find his intended target, Brandon Wrighton, the junior receiver. But we get a flag down and what could potentially be pass interference. It is pass interference. That's a 15-yard penalty and a gift for the Franklin offense. Stops the clock at 55.4 seconds on the opening half. You've already seen Zach Olesic's athleticism. He also plays baseball, 2-sport athlete. They go back to the air. He'll check it down. A dangerous deflection off the hands of his running back, Connor Hatfield. Brings up 2nd and 10 with 51.4 seconds left in the opening half. A 19-14 Churchill lead on the road. The premier KLAA East rivalry on display tonight. Olesic rolling, now he'll keep. We've seen the speed already. Picked up about 4 there, maybe 5 on 2nd and 10. It'll bring up 3rd and manageable. Boston Clegg Jr. made the tackle. We get a timeout called by Franklin with 43.1 seconds to go on this second quarter clock. 3rd and 6 will be the yardage when they step back out onto the field. Difficult situation here, you have to think, for the Churchill defense because of just how prolific in a short sample size this running game, and specifically the designed quarterback running game, has been for Franklin. But they also have some receivers that can get it done as well. We saw a big chunk earlier in the game from the tight end Evan Pittenger, who slipped behind the Churchill defense. We'll see what they do. They go to the air, pressure coming. Olesic was hit as he threw. Crowd wants pass interference. They won't get it. That ball bobbled out of the hands of Wrighton targeted for the second time on this drive. 0 for 2 looking for him so far. Brings up 4th down with 38.8 to go in the opening half. What do you do here now? Looks like they will bring out the punting unit, trailing by 5. So 4th and 6 here. And you still have to come up with a stop. It's been a quick strike offense on the Churchill side as well. But it takes a hop and a roll in favor of Franklin down inside the 15. And it'll settle down at the 10-yard line of Churchill. With 24.4 seconds left in the first half. I wonder if maybe Gavin Brooks just takes a knee here. Head to the locker room up 5. No receivers. It appears as though that might be what they'll do. They are content with heading to the half. 5-point lead. That'll run down the clock. Been a back and forth affair so far. Couple of lead changes. Some beautiful offense. 33 combined points in this first half. Welcome back into your Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. I'd like to remind you that our game tonight is thanks in part to our Diamond Elite sponsor, which is part of the Detroit Public Schools Community District. Our children need to be in school, as every school day counts for their academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and has implemented a safe return with options to meet the needs of our families, including face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. The DPSCD team has been working hard to serve families during this difficult time and remains focused on providing outstanding academic, arts, and athletic programs, along with exceptional student education services. Please join us in thanking DPSCD teachers and staff in preparing for your child's rise to build a stronger Detroit. Enroll your child in Detroit Public Schools Community District by visiting DetroitK12.org or calling 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. Back here at Livonia Franklin High School, what's been the setting for an entertaining matchup so far through 2 quarters of play. 19-14 is the Franklin lead. It's been a back and forth affair. Quick strikes on both sides, good blend of the running game and the passing game. On the side of Churchill, they scored first behind Gavin Brooks, had a couple of trips in the red zone, converted on the second chance. Then Franklin answered right back. Churchill scored, missed an extra point. Franklin took their first lead of the game. But now here we are, after the Churchill offense tacked on 6 more to make it 19-14. Livonia Franklin led by Chris Kelbert in his 19th season. Trailing by 5, but trying to bounce back from that 35-31 loss to John Glenn a week ago. It's a much improved John Glenn team from the 1-win team we saw a year ago, but not a team that Franklin should have lost to. 8-3 last season, now back on their home field in front of their home fans. You wonder if the nerves, though, the pressure, maybe pressure more so than nerves, could potentially lead to them overplaying in the second half. They looked pretty calm in the first half. On the Churchill side, under their senior quarterback, Gavin Brooks, trying to get to 3-0 on the season in a year with very, very high expectations. Another reminder that tonight's Detroit Free Press Game of the Week is presented by Detroit Public Schools Community District. Every school day counts for our children's academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and is safely providing face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. Enroll today. Visit DetroitK12.org or call 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. Well, Churchill will receive to get this second half underway. If it's as fun as the first, we're in for a good ending. Hopping to the outside here and then cutting it back in. That looks like Jordan Garcia. 11:50 to go in this third quarter, and that'll bring out Gavin Brooks for the first time in this second half. Had a 41-yard rushing touchdown in the first half to go along with a couple of passing touchdowns. One was to his brother Bailey. which defense can settle in the second half. Churchill was able to overcome some self-inflicted mistakes in the final drive of the first half to score. Here is Brooks on the keeper, showing off the speed and a gain of 11 on first down. Did the ball come out at the end of the run? Trevor Alexander made the tackle. If it did, Churchill able to stick with it. We'll call it a gain of 12. Up to the 48-yard line. Hand off and a big hit in the backfield. That looks like Pettinger. One of the anchors of the defense, as we mentioned in the first half, went unblocked there and absolutely exploded through the offensive line of Churchill. Mentioned in the first half, he set his sights on earning a D1 offer. And the coaching staff feels that he has that potential. So far, offers from Lawrence Tech, Shrine, Olivet, as Churchill goes back to the ground. This time on 2nd and 11.
The ball carrier stopped by Will Linton.
Will Linton made the tackle that time. After a gain of 5, 10-17 to go here in the third quarter.
3rd and 5. Ball at the 47.
Getting back to Pittenger, he said that, he was just working on trying to find that first offer. And when Lawrence Tech called last April, he said he didn't know what to say when the coaching staff phoned him, and you could only imagine the feeling of getting that first offer. He could accumulate some more throughout the fall. Here's Gavin Brooks. He has 8 offers of his own, finds a target over the middle. It's Bailey Brooks. His brother will forward progress, mark him at a first down spot here. No, it won't. It'll be 4th and about a couple of inches. After a 5-yard gain, will they keep the offense out? They kept the offense out on 4th and 1 from their own 39 in the first half. We'll do that once again here, this time on 4th and 1. A bit more ideal position to go for it. On the Franklin 43. Hatfield will lower his shoulder and try to muscle his way ahead. He might not have gotten there. Wraps up behind the line to gain. So for the second time today, Churchill is stymied on 4th down. Franklin came up with a big 4th and 2 stop. Backed up in their own territory in the opening drive of the first quarter. And for the second time today, they stopped the Chargers in a 4th down situation. That brings out Olesic from his 43. A nice run there from Connor Hatfield, leaping over the first tackler and getting up to the 50. Gain of 7 on first down, sets up 2nd and 3. A 19-14 Churchill lead. 8:40 to go in the third quarter. In the last 4 meetings, they've all been decided by a margin within 2 touchdowns between these two teams. This time looking down the seam, it's deflected. Ryan Hutchinson, the linebacker, drifted back in coverage and was able to tip that pass away.
Olesic pass. Broken up, intended for Hatfield.
So that brings up 3rd and 3 for the Franklin offense. They go back to the ground, and they won't get it here, looking for the edge. Although Jimmy Turgaz, a senior linebacker, was all over that run. And it sets up 4th and 3. I don't believe they gained anything there.
Tackle by Khalil Ford. 4th and 3.
Trailing by 5. Now we'll see what Franklin decides to do. Here's as though they'll keep the offense out. So a big spot here. 4th and 3. 7.5 to play in the 3rd. Franklin trailing by 5. It's a quarterback keeper and a big burst here for Olesic. He's got 4.7 speed and takes it to the house for the 2nd time today. A 50-yard scamper on 4th and 3. And the Patriots retake the lead. 3rd lead change today. And in the blink of an eye, Franklin is back on top. Whew. It's been a fun one tonight. As we mentioned, Olesic's predecessor, Jacob Kelbert, set the bar pretty high. But Olesic, through his first 3 starts, living up to the expectations that he set for himself. Won that starting job, as now it appears as though they'll go for 2, and they find it in the back of the end zone to take a 3-point lead. Make it a field goal game with 7:17 to play in the 3rd quarter. Franklin on top. Now it's 22-19 Franklin lead. And gets set to kick it off after the 50-yard touchdown run. Taking it from his own 10 here for Churchill is Jordan Garcia. Able to get out past the 25. Looks like Churchill will set up shop here at their own 28. So Livonia Franklin had a lead last week in the 2nd half. They're up 31-13 prior to John Glenn's 31 unanswered points. Can they hold on this week? It's a close one right now. Just a 3-point advantage. We've been going back and forth all night. Gavin Brooks sets up here in an interesting offensive formation, a bunch set. And they go to it. He finds Bailey Brooks. Those two have hooked up on numerous occasions today. It's a 9-yard gain on 1st down. Call it 10. Got just enough for a 1st down.
1st down. Churchill. Ball at the 39.
This time they keep it on the ground. Clegg Jr. bounces off the initial contact and muscles his way ahead for about a 4-yard gain on first down.
He is met by Tyler Wisman.
These are really the moments that you train for in the offseason. Both coaches have talked about how because of the quarantine and the pandemic, naturally there wasn't as much time to work together and prepare for moments just like this. Coach Chris Kelbert said that, not being able to train the way we usually do, he said it impacted the strength perspective in particular. As we get a long run here, it could be another big burst, and it will be for a touchdown. Back and forth we go. Gavin Brooks takes it to the house. With 5:45 to go, just like that. Churchill retakes the lead. Our 4th lead change.
Point after is good.
The extra point is up and good. Make it a 26-22 Churchill lead with 5:45 to go in the 3rd quarter. After the 58-yard run, that time from Gavin Brooks, he's at a 41-yard touchdown run, and now a 58-yarder to tack on to his stat total for today. Both quarterbacks getting it done on the ground. You think about the evolution of the quarterback position at the moment in the game of football. We just had Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes go head-to-head on Monday Night Football earlier this week. That kind of a player who can not only do it through the air, but also on the ground, so dynamic, not just that they can only do it on the ground, but it just makes you stay on your heels defensively. So fast, so elusive. Now we get a kick that will go out of bounds and draw a flag here. Illegal procedure on Churchill. Referees officially make the call. It'll be a 5-yard penalty on the illegal procedure, and it'll set up Franklin with pretty good field position at the 35.
Correction, 1st and 10 ball at the 38-yard line.
4 lead changes in this one so far. Now Franklin trailing 26-22 with 5:44 to go on their home field. Olesic looking down the seam into double coverage. Was that picked off? It was incomplete. Was looking for Wrighton, who he hasn't been able to hook up with today on 3 targets. The big physical receiver at 6'3", 185 can make catches like that, but that time covered up pretty well in a vacuum there. Eighth-year man, Bill DeFilippo, watching on the sideline for Livonia Churchill. And then for Franklin, it's Chris Kelbert in his 19th season. He's been around the block. He knows this rivalry. Empty set this time, but a designed run for Olesic. Big collision on the sideline. There to knock them out of bounds is Dom Uferman. Joshua Brown, I should say. My apologies. That now sets up 3rd and 7 for this Franklin offense from their own 41. If you blink, you might miss something in this game. Big 3rd down, Olesic rolling to his right. Tricky deflection off the hands of the intended receiver. Once again, it was Brandon Wrighton who's having a tough day. 0 for 4 trying to find him, and that brings up 4th and long. Sure, we'll see the punting unit here. Garcia back at his own 25. He'll watch that one take a hop in favor of Churchill. And back comes Gavin Brooks after the 58-yard touchdown run in his last appearance on the field.
1st and 10 for Churchill.
Churchill will take over at their own 33 with 4:33 to go in the 3rd quarter. 26-22, the Charger lead. Brooks has accounted for 4 touchdowns today when you combine the 3 on the ground, couple of passing touchdowns. The 2 on the ground, couple of passing touchdowns. He was 12 for 21 in week 2 with 136 yards and 3 touchdowns. His final experience in this rivalry, and his team is up by 4 with a little over 4 to play in the 3rd. Hands it off to Boston Clegg Jr. It was a really low center of gravity. He is a piece of that dynamic 1-2 punch between Brooks and Clegg Jr.
The ball carrier.
Seen him utilized in passing situations and running situations today. Aaron Mass made the tackle today. Mass, a 3-sport athlete, plays basketball and runs track in the spring, in addition to his duties on the gridiron. This time, Brooks will keep it. Fires over the middle. Looking for the guy who's been his top target today, and his brother Bailey Brooks. Couldn't find him that time. On the coverage that time was Dom Uferman, who was typically assigned to the opposing team's best receiver. 2-sport athlete himself, he also plays basketball. Considered to be one of the best cover corners in the area. Now we have a player down on the field in the Franklin secondary. Now Brooks on 3rd and 8. Looking over the middle, a low throw right at the sticks. Gonna say he was out of bounds. Found Bailey Brooks. Well, that'll bring up 4th and 8. You should see the punting unit come out. We will.
Bailey Brooks, incomplete.
sideline was saying, watch the punter, expecting a potential fake. They do boot it off, though, and it lands just inside the 40-yard line. Now Zach Olesic getting set to lead his offense back out onto the field, trailing by 4 with 3:39 to go in the third quarter. 26-22, the Churchill lead. Livonia Franklin offense that averaged 38.5 points per game last season. Big men are out on the field to set up some room here for Hatfield, and he finds a nice chunk on first down. They'll call it a gain of 7. Give him a gain of 6 to set up 2nd and 4. 3:20 to go now in the third.
Oh, come on. Think real deep. You'll find something.
The 1-1 Franklin team trying to avoid back-to-back losses. The handoff this time, it goes to Hatfield, and he's bottled up running into a crowded box.
Davis, the ball carrier.
Sets up 3rd and 2. Franklin from their own 47 with 2:20 to go. They'll stack up the line again, looking for the edge. They'll find the first down. Trevor Parizak, the 5'11", 180-pound junior, came in for that 3rd down carry. Parizak, really good kid, 3.8 GPA. There's a Twitter header that says, "Fear less, dominate more." That kind of standard is what they're trying to set today. Another option in the backfield. And now on 1st and 10, fresh set of downs. A block set up here. It's Olesic. He gets free again for the 3rd time today. Lead change number 5. 28-26 is the Franklin lead after the scamper from Olesic and that offensive line. Olesic will be thanking them at the end of this night. He's got the 4.7 40-yard dash time, but without the O-line, those holes do not open up. We'll see if they can tack on one more. They do. And it's a 3-point field goal game, 29-26 is the Franklin lead. 1:35 to go in the third of what's been a scintillating matchup on a fall Friday night, first Friday night of October, and has lived up to the billing. Once again, these teams played a 49-48 triple overtime. Absolute classic a season ago. Franklin came out on top in that one. Churchill, the favorite entering today, you got a sense they really wanted to come out of here with a resounding win on the road. They wanted to make a statement, although we appear to be in for what could be a very tight one down the stretch here. A 3-point ball game. Franklin up 29-26 with 95 seconds to go in this third quarter. This one will go out of bounds. So some extra yardage will be granted to the Churchill offense. So now, can Gavin Brooks and the Churchill offense answer back? Again, you look down in this matchup and you might miss something. Nice, strong run here from Garcia, motoring his way ahead. It was Alonte Williams, rather. He's only 185 pounds, 5'9". Doesn't play like it, though. Strong legs, second running back in the rotation today. We also see Ryan Hutchinson at times, the fullback. It'll be Alonte Williams staying out there with Gavin Brooks. Boston Clegg Jr. has had himself a day. Touchdown catch in the first half. And we get a flag to fly before the snap there. It would have been 2nd and 2. We'll see what that changes after this call. It's a false start on the offense. They back them up to second and 7. Clock is ticking at 50 seconds and running in this third quarter. It is a 29-26 Franklin lead at home. In week 3, Franklin at 1-1, Churchill at 2-0. A man in motion, running across, that's Uferman. They'll give it to him, and he gets near the sticks. He'll come up short. They love running men in motion, injecting those sweep-type plays. Rocco DePonio made the tackle on that occasion. A senior middle linebacker, a two-sport athlete, also captained the varsity wrestling team. We'll finish up the third quarter, 29-26 in favor of Franklin after 3 quarters. Take this time to remind you that our Diamond Elite sponsor is Detroit Public Schools Community Districts. Our children need to be in school as every school day counts for their academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and has implemented a safe return with options to meet the needs of our families, including face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. The DPSCD team has been working hard to serve families during this difficult time and remains focused on providing outstanding academic, arts, and athletic programs, along with exceptional student education services. Please join us in thanking DPSCD teachers and staff in preparing your child's rise to build a stronger Detroit. Enroll your child at Detroit Public Schools Community District by visiting DetroitK12.org or calling 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. That was Boston Clegg Jr. on the first play of the fourth quarter. Sets up a short-range situation on 4th down for the Churchill offense, but they'll bring out the special teams on 4th and 1 with 11:30 to go in this fourth quarter. Smart decision there. Kind of a low line drive punt. Takes a couple of rolls in favor of Churchill. It'll set up Franklin at about the 27-yard line. Sideline barking, let's finish this thing, as Zach Olesic will trot back out onto the field. The junior QB, 6'1", 175. We've seen his wheels on display today. 3 rushing touchdowns. All have been from over 40 yards out, and it's been a well-balanced attack all night. We expected high scoring today, and that's what we've gotten. Olesic's first time experiencing this rivalry, as though, as a varsity starter. You wonder what the nerves are in the fourth quarter. Clearly he isn't nervous. A long first down pass, and they'll dip inside of Churchill territory as he finds Wrighton at the 45 of Churchill.
First down, Patriots.
Well, some thought that Olesic may have taken a bit of a step back last week in the loss to John Glenn when they blew that 31-13 fourth quarter lead. He has more than bounced back this week. He'll keep it again here. That's been successful all night. Picks up 5. Good chunk on first down. 10:22 to go in the fourth quarter. A 29-26 Franklin lead over their rivals Churchill. Franklin group that replaced their starting quarterback from a year ago, Jacob Kelbert. Team that made the state final in 2017 under Kelbert, his leadership. 8-3 a year ago, 1-1 this season, trying to bounce back and get back above 500. And Hatfield finds the edge, picking up a first down and more. Wonderful patience on display during that run. All of a sudden, Franklin working with some momentum after the defensive stop. That was kind of the thing. Who could find a defensive stop? These teams have been going back and forth, back and forth. We had 5 lead changes, but the Franklin D came up big on that last drive. Churchill opted to play it safe on 4th and 1 in their own end of the field. And meanwhile, another fresh set of downs for this Franklin offense. Playbook opens up, 9:04 to go in the fourth quarter. They go back to the ground. It's Hatfield. Another gain of 6 there on first down. Demarius Gibson Wells made the tackle. 270-pound junior, a physical force in that D-line, although haven't heard as much of him as we thought we'd hear today. It's been a really nice push all night from that Franklin offensive line. Gibson, a guy who's really aggressive at the point of attack, just haven't been able to shed the blocks today. They hand it off again, this time on the sweep, and he might have picked up enough for a first down. That was Hatfield. One of the things you look for each time he steps out on the field is, are they going to run that sweep play? And they love it. They go to it once again there. They come up just short, though, with a first down. I'll say he was pushed out of bounds prior to the yard to gain, so 3rd and 1 from the Churchill 21. Couple of substitutions here. 7:50 to go in the fourth quarter. 3-point game. Franklin in front, 29-26. And knocking on the door. And they'll put the big boys out here. Just try to lower the shoulder and jam it ahead. This will be close. Maben was the ball carrier. They didn't get it. So now up 3. A field goal will make it a 6-point game, which theoretically, say, at the other end, Churchill scores and tacks on an extra point. The Chargers will be able to take the lead. So this feels like a good decision. On 4th and 1, they'll put it down once again. They get the first down and a touchdown! 21-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1 to provide some much-needed insurance and make it a 2-score game. With the extra point, it'll be 36-26 in favor of Franklin. Right now it's 35-26, so make it 36-26. 7:14 to go in the fourth, and the Franklin faithful is pretty happy. Take this time to remind you that tonight's Detroit Free Press Game of the Week is presented by Detroit Public Schools Community District. Every school day counts for our children's academic, social, and emotional development. Detroit Public Schools Community District is preparing students for their rise and is safely providing face-to-face learning and online learning at home or in a learning center. Enroll today. Visit DetroitK12.org or call 313-240-4377. Remember, when students rise, we all rise. So once again, 7:14 to go in the fourth. 36-26 is now the lead for Franklin. A hole opens up in the middle there on the return for Churchill. Gavin Brooks, the senior, looking to lead his team back here. Still an ample amount of time.
Williams on the return.
Brooks was so efficient a season ago, 24 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. Not a bad ratio.
At the 37.
See what the offense can piece together here. It was 3 and out last time. Looking over the middle, and he finds his man for a first down. Step inside of Churchill territory. Jordan Garcia on the receiving end there. Garcia, the strong receiver, can squat 300, bench 200. He's got the wheels as well. 4.6 40-yard dash time. Now they're at the 49 of Franklin. Just what you needed on first down. Promising start to the drive. They fake it on play action. That was blocked down at the line. Looked like it was linebacker Evan Pittenger getting his big paw on that one. 6'1", 215 backer. One of the anchors on the defense, and comes up with a big deflection there to make it 2nd and 10 with 6:33 to go in the fourth quarter. 36-26 is the Franklin lead. Back to the shotgun they go. Back to the air they go. Looking to dump it off after the check down. Here is Boston Clegg Jr. up the sideline, and he might have picked up enough for a first down.
Brooks pass is complete to Clegg.
And they call it just short, right at the sticks. So 3rd and 1 with 6:24 to go on the fourth quarter clock. Franklin up 36-26. Gavin Brooks, the senior, eyes his man, and he has Boston Clegg Jr. Slips past one man, then another, and stretches his way for a first down to the 35 of Franklin.
First down for Churchill.
Thinking of time here, you still have enough time for 2 drives. You'll need 2 scores, trailing by 10. Brooks, a player with 8 college offers at QB. He looks to the air here, lofting down the seam, has a man! Broken coverage on the back end, and Jordan Garcia is on the receiving end of a Brooks touchdown pass. Back to a 1-score game. Just what the doctor ordered if you're the Churchill Chargers. Can make it a 3-point game with the extra point here. 36-32 now is the Franklin lead. Kick is up and through the uprights. What a ball game. 3-point affair with 5:47 to go in the fourth. Could you have dreamt of a better drive for Churchill there? Last 4 meetings have all been decided by less than 2 touchdowns. It appears as though that streak might extend to 5 in a row. Franklin has an offense that has the ability to eat up clock. Their opening drive of their opening game of the season against Fordson in that upset 28-27 win lasted 9 minutes. Can you perhaps engineer something like that? They get an onside kick here, but this will certainly roll in favor. Oh, it's dangerous though, loose at the end. It looked like it was going to be easy to cover up for Franklin, but they had some trouble with it. And Franklin does fall on it. Back at around their own 30. Don't spark the nerves if you're a Franklin fan.
First attempt for the Patriots at the 32.
Ball just kind of took an odd hop at the end of the onside kick, and now, after the scare, it'll be Olesic coming out with his team up 3. The first-year starter for the Franklin Patriots. His crew up 36-33 with 5:47 to go in the 4th. On the opposite side of the field, the visiting Churchill fans making some noise of their own as Franklin goes to the ground on 1st down and 10. They'll pick up just a yard to make it 2nd and 9. Just 4.6 miles separates these two schools, about a 10-minute drive. Proximity is close, and we're feeling the intensity of the rivalry now. This time they line up in the shotgun on 2nd and 9. Back to the ground they go, looking for the edge, and they find it. A 9-yard gain and more. Might have picked up the 1st down. Connor Hadfield, he can make the first man miss. Did so that time. He's so elusive, so shifty, so agile. Not a huge back at 5'9", 160. But runs just like that are the reason why we saw him pick up 131 on the ground in week 1. 3-sport athlete who plays football, hockey, and baseball. He has a pretty busy schedule. Clock now at 4 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. They might actually be taking a look at that right now. It'll be 1st and 10 nonetheless. At the 45 for Franklin.
4:48 on the clock.
They're going to put it back up to 4:48. So that on a pretty significant chunk there. If you're Franklin right now, you're looking for 1st downs. You're looking to keep that clock moving. Churchill has struggled to force 3 and outs today, and they aren't able to do so on this drive, although this could be a big tackle in the backfield. Looks like it'll be a loss of 6. Ryan Hutchinson, the senior linebacker, coming up big in his final appearance in this rivalry. We'll say it's a loss of 5 to make it 2nd and 15.
Dragging on the tackle.
You can hear the crowd getting into it now. Olesic out of an empty set on 2nd and 16. Makes a man miss. Looks downfield and has a 1st down. At the 39, he found Brandon Ryder.
Pass complete to Cordell Maiden, flag on the play.
There is a flag on the play, though.
Holding on the Patriots.
It'll be holding. Flag is down in that holding zone, and it'll nullify a first down gain. That's a big penalty with 3:46 to go on the clock in this fourth quarter. Franklin up 36-33. This is one of the best games we've seen through the first 3 weeks of the high school football season. It has been wonderful, and that just adds yet another layer of drama to what's been a theatrical fourth quarter. Second and 25 after the penalty. Clock is ticking at 3:27. Olesic drops back to pass. Low throw over the middle, incomplete.
Pass intended for Hatfield.
Intended for the running back Hatfield, who slipped out of the backfield. So now 3rd and 25. Clock stops at 3:23. Franklin up 36-33. Gavin Brooks, the senior quarterback for Churchill, anxiously awaiting on the sideline to get one more shot at this. Potentially a comeback victory. Churchill was trailing by 10 just a few minutes ago. Now they're trying to come up with this 3rd and 25 stop to force a punt and get their offense back out on the field. Three receivers here for Olesic. Has plenty of time. Looking downfield into double coverage. Incomplete.
Pass intended for Hatfield.
Ryan Hutchinson, the linebacker, once again slipping back in coverage and deflecting that pass away. As Hatfield slipped up the seam, but Olesic couldn't find him, and out comes the punting unit. Churchill might get set up with some pretty good field position here. Alante Williams was set up back at his own 35, but not before we get a quick timeout called here with 3:14 to go in the fourth quarter of yet another classic edition in this rivalry. Livonia Franklin at 1-1 on the season, trying to avoid back-to-back losses, up 3, trying to hang on here. Gavin Brooks has other ideas, the senior QB for Churchill, trying to pull off a fourth quarter comeback. Bit of deja vu right now, though, for Franklin. Last week, they blew a 31-13 second half lead to John Glenn. And certainly leave a bitter taste in their mouths if they were to blow back-to-back double-digit second half leads. Jordan Garcia lined up back at his own 35. Comes up to the 45 where he calls for a fair catch. And that's where Gavin Brooks will set up shop. Brooks already with a couple of rushing touchdowns today. If you're the Franklin defense, you have to look for that. But has some very talented receivers as well. It's an offense that scored 65 points through the first 2 weeks of the season combined. And Gavin Brooks, the senior QB, is head coach Bill DeFiplio in his 8th season called Brooks a gym rat with a high IQ. Trying to show some moxie here in an empty set. On 1st and 10 from their own 45. Has a man open down the sideline. He'll make him miss inside the 10 and into the end zone. All it took was one play 55 yards, and Churchill is back on top. With 2:58 to go in the fourth. Wow, this game changed in the blink of an eye. "14 unanswered points from the Chargers after they trailed by 10 just what felt like a few minutes ago. Franklin had a 36-26 lead in this quarter. But a quick drive from the Chargers, and then they back it up with a good stop and a 55-yard pitch and catch to retake the lead on the road. So now it's Zach Olesik's turn. Can he answer back with 2:58 to go in the fourth? Now Churchill up 40-36. This kind of reminds you of one of those Big 12, Pac-12 type shootouts. It's been a fun Friday night. First Friday night of October, and this has been brilliant. Seven lead changes. We'll just kind of pooch it out of bounds there, so the flag comes flying again. Olesik, the first-year starter, is 1-1 on the season, but hasn't quite experienced something like this yet. This rivalry, this kind of a feel. Franklin did have a game-winning drive in week 1 against Fordson. Hatfield ran in a game-winning touchdown run to give them a 28-27 victory, then lost the following week, 35-31 to John Glenn, a team that only won one game a season ago. They blew a double-digit lead in the second half of that one. Bit of deja vu here, but still plenty of time. 2:58 on the fourth quarter clock. Churchill up 40-36. A hole opened up, then it closed quickly, thanks to Demarius Gibson-Wells.
Brought down by Gibson-Wells.
He can do that. Physical force on that D-line. Gibson-Wells, very coachable kid, really hard worker, loves this kind of a setting. .222 to go, clock is ticking in the fourth quarter. Churchill up 40-36, they've scored 14 unanswered, trying to come up with a stop here. It's a little shovel to the outside. That time Trevor Prezak, the running back, 5'11 junior. That sets up third down after a gain of a few. Third down and 4. Clock is under 2 minutes. 1:54 to go in the fourth. Olesik back to pass on 3rd and 4. That was deflected. Cameron Bullhorn got the paw up. The 6-foot junior just knocked that pass out of the air, and it brings up 4th and 4 with 1 minute and 32 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Churchill up 40-36. Perhaps one last gasp here for Franklin. A Franklin team that once led by 10 in this quarter. Fourth and 4, man in motion. Olisic keeps it, trying to fight his way for a first down, and he didn't find it. Came up at least a full yard short. And the Churchill sideline is ecstatic. Minute and 28 to go in the fourth quarter. Churchill lost this rivalry matchup in triple overtime a season ago, 49-48. And they may have just found the stop to get the job done on the road and answer back. These two schools have split the last 4 meetings. This will be now 5 consecutive matchups decided by less than 2 touchdowns. How about Gavin Brooks in this fourth quarter? With under 7 minutes left in this fourth, he led his team back from down 10, finds his running back Boston Clegg Jr., who hurdles a man for a first down gain. Flag came out.
Boston Clegg Jr., the ball carrier.
1:21 to go in this fourth quarter. 40-36, Churchill lead. Let's see what the call is here.
Personal foul on
It is going to be a personal foul on Churchill
end of the play.
at the high school level. Can hurdle, he went up and down there. So it'll set them back 15. Or set them back, yeah, so it'll be 1st and 17. It appears as though that's where they'll mark it.
From the 45.
If not, it should be 1st and 25.
1:21 to go in the fourth quarter. Once again, a 4-point Churchill lead. Clock stops. Now a flag goes flying. I believe this might be a false start on Churchill.
Legal procedure on Churchill. They'll back it up 5. All at the 40-yard line.
They'll back it up 5 more. Ball now at their own 40. Two timeouts left for Franklin. Despite it being 1st and 22 now, you should go to the ground, and that's what they do with Clegg. He finds a hole, and this might be the exclamation point. It is.
50 yards.
Boston Clegg Jr. goes 50 yards to put a final stamp on this one. They trailed by 10 with under 8 to play in the fourth. Now they're up by 10 with 1:09 to go in regulation. Churchill trying to cap off this win. Move to 3-0 on the season. Extra point makes it an 11-point game. 47-36 now as the Chargers lead on the road.
Churchill 47, Franklin 36.
What a fourth quarter for the Chargers. On the opposite side, second consecutive week that Franklin has allowed 21 fourth quarter points. Second consecutive week that they've blown a double-digit lead in the fourth. And this one will sting a bit more. It's all cosmetic now with 1:09 to go here in regulation. Bill DeFilippo's team will move to 3-0 on the season. Livonia Churchill opened up the year with a 44-6 win over Wayne Memorial. Followed that up with a 21-14 win over Dearborn. Now the one that'll probably feel the best through the first 3 weeks likely will end at 47-36. Very high expectations for Churchill coming into this season, off to a much better start than they had last year when they got off to a 1-4 beginning of the season, but won 6 in a row after that and are out to winning 2 playoff games before losing to Walled Lake Western by 7 points in the regional final. Sky is the limit this season, evidently. Well, maybe want to clean some things up defensively. Perhaps they took a step back there this week, but only nitpicking after an exceptional comeback here in this fourth quarter. It'll lead to a big celebration in the locker room. Socially distanced, of course. Meanwhile, one last gasp here, up the numbers for Oleksic and this Franklin offense.
On the tackle.
Flip side of that, Livonia Franklin will slip to 1-2 on the season. Not panicking will be the key here. I don't think there's any reason to panic at this particular stage of the season. It's a good, talented team. We've seen that today. But holding on to leads, the secondary has struggled against the passing game in the late stages over the past couple of weeks here. So, again, trying to clean some things up. Now the ball slips loose, and Oleksic just has to pounce on it. Clock ticking at 25 seconds. Churchill up 47-36. Their fans traveled well, as expected. Clock ticking down, 5, 4, 3, and that'll do it as Churchill regains their footing in this rivalry and moves to 3-0 on the season with a brilliant fourth quarter comeback victory in another scintillating edition of this rivalry. 47-36 the final from Franklin High School. Churchill comes out on top to move to 3-0. Livonia Franklin slips to 1-2. It was an absolute pleasure to bring you this one. Certainly lived up to the billing on our Detroit Free Press Game of the Week. If we can get matchups like this down the road, we'll be pretty happy. Well, once again, your final score, Churchill 47, Livonia Franklin 36. Wrapping it up from Franklin High School, I'm Jason Ross Jr., saying so long, have a wonderful weekend. That was your Detroit Free Press Game of the Week.